Hello, friends and community members. I am Jeff Wagner. I'm your mayor of the city of Covington. Well, there's no way to sugarcoat it. The year 2020 was no cakewalk. It was a tough year for the health of our nation, from the pandemic to the civil unrest and protests to the struggling economy. 2020 is a year many would like to forget. The last time I was before you for our State of the City presentation, I told you that the foundation of every city and its greatest strength is its people. The people who live in the city, the people who work in the city, and the people who visit the city. As I speak to you this year, right now, that remains absolutely true. This past year, I personally witnessed the people of our community coming together to help each other in many ways. I saw the community come together to donate food, money, and items for those struggling through the effects of this pandemic. I saw free PPE and face mask giveaways from local organizations like the Covington Chamber of Commerce and the city's Emergency Management Division. I saw efforts to provide thank yous and appreciation to first responders, including nurses and medical staff and police officers. I saw neighbors go out and support struggling businesses whenever they could afford to. And I saw 99.99% of the people I encountered wear their face masks to protect themselves, their families, their neighbors, and their community. No matter the challenges we face, it is the strength of the people in our community that always amazes me. And I also want to be sure to thank the first responders and essential workers who have faced this pandemic head on. We appreciate you more than you know. And now, our City Manager Regan Bolli is going to walk through how 2020 affected the city and the projects and programs we are proud to have accomplished during that time.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to our virtual State of the City address this year. We began 2020 with excitement and energy for a new year. We had a number of new projects on the horizon that we have been working hard towards, including several transportation projects, progress on Town Center and the Lake Point development, planning for athletic and recreation programs and events that have been showing major growth and success, and much more. But when COVID-19 hit, we had to shift our priorities quickly and focus on the health and well-being of our residents, our employees, and our families. As cases rose and the economy stalled, we had to fully close City Hall and the Aquatic Center, temporarily lay off half of our staff, make major budget changes, including implementing a hiring and spending freeze, cancel all recreation, athletic, and aquatics programs, cancel all special events, close parks and trails, and much more. During this time, we also had to ensure that we were still meeting the needs of the community and continuing to provide essential government services. As the pandemic pressed on and we knew this wouldn't end quickly, we had to adjust, accommodate, and get creative. We implemented safety procedures for all city staff and city facilities. Our IT department transitioned a majority of staff to working remotely. We created COVID alert pages on our website to help keep residents and businesses up to date and provide helpful resource information. We utilized our social media accounts to get critical information from public health, the county, and the state out to the community quickly. We partnered to open a first responder COVID testing site at the old Covington Elementary School site in the first few weeks of the pandemic. It was one of the 3 located in the county. We held multiple free mask giveaways events to ensure the community had access to them, passing out around 8,000 masks. We utilized CARES Act funds to provide over $138,000 in grants to 30 small businesses in Covington impacted by COVID-19. Installed COVID-related safety improvements to city facilities, provided much needed funding to the storehouse, food bank, and to Vine Maple Place to assist residents falling on hard times, and provide funds to our local water and sewer utilities to help pay 52 past due accounts of Covington residents. We are obviously still in the midst of the pandemic, and it looks like there will be long-term effects to manage. Businesses are still struggling, schools are still closed, and people are still getting sick. The city will continue to strive to keep you up to date on COVID news. We will continue to manage and operate responsibly, and we will continue to do everything we can to protect public health and safety. Despite the difficulties that the pandemic has presented, there were several bright spots in 2020. I want to share those with you to highlight the resiliency that our community has shown and our staff has worked hard to achieve during this time. We have been very fortunate to continue fostering existing partnerships over the past year. We continue to partner with Green River Community College in bringing higher education and small business assistance to Covington. This has been even more important as they have been able to work with struggling small businesses during the pandemic. Our partnerships with the Covington Chamber of Commerce is stronger than ever as we work together on ways to engage the business community, most notably this year with Shop Small, Shop Local efforts and Ready Set Play program, which I'll highlight a little later. We continue to work on CLTC, the Southeast Area Legislative Transportation Coalition, with several other organizations including the Covington Chamber, Maple Valley Chamber, City of Maple Valley, City of Issaquah, City of Snoqualmie, and the Snoqualmie Tribe to promote improvements to Highway 18. We are partnering with the City of Maple Valley on a major feasibility study for a future recreation center in the area. The Lake Point development plans are approved for 850,000 square feet of commercial retail space, a public lake, open space, and 1,500 dwelling units, including single-family homes, apartments, and townhomes. A request to increase to 1.3 million square feet of commercial retail space and 1,700 dwelling units is currently in process. This project also includes construction of the extension of 204th from 272nd to Highway 18. We are excited that construction of the 204th extension was kicked off in November. Through the Port of Seattle, we received an economic development grant. Due to the impacts of the pandemic on our business and economy in 2020, we used that grant and partnered with the Covington Chamber of Commerce to acquire photography and develop a 30-second video. The goal was to promote the unique small businesses we have in Covington and encourage the community to stay local and support those businesses. The video aired on streaming media channels in the Covington area, was advertised on media websites, and promoted on our social media channels, receiving over 300,000 views. We also added to our photo library and created a foundation to continue marketing this in 2021. Leveraging a grant received from the Washington State Department of Commerce, we are evaluating changes to our regulations that control the design and use of downtown buildings, streets, and public spaces. This will lead to a new form-based code that will more effectively implement the community's vision, respond to changes in the regional economy, and provide a catalyst for high-quality construction in the heart of Covington. The old Covington Elementary site will eventually be a cornerstone of the future town center, but in the interim, in 2020, we were able to utilize the site for temporary COVID needs, like the testing site I mentioned earlier, and for police operations. We also moved forward with demolition of the main buildings, and police will continue to use the remaining buildings as their main offices, as their space in City Hall is much too small. We made the final purchase of the third parcel that will complete SoCo Park's footprint on the east side of the town center area. We have been fortunate to have been able to make all of the SoCo property purchases with grants and look forward to further developing the parks as funds become available in the future. Our Human Services Division and Commission continues to do great work in Covington. In 2020, the city dispersed over $20,000 in funds to 14 households for the minor home repair program to allow low-income residents the ability to fix issues and make small home improvements like replacing a broken water heater or fixing a water leak. The commission also dispersed $136,500 to 24 different human services agencies that provide support to the Covington community, and an additional $150,000 in CARES Act funds to Vine Maple Place for rental assistance. Although some of the art projects were delayed a few months due to the pandemic, the Arts Commission still completed 3 major projects, including the new art installation at Covington Community Park called Metamorphosis, the art wrap on the Covington Community Park storage container, and the final phase of art wraps on several utility boxes. With sponsorship funding from Multicare, we were able to purchase a new live community tree and new light system for the Don Henning Roundabout by Fred Meyer. Our maintenance crew planted the new tree, strung and programmed the new lights, and made other improvements to the landscaping to allow us to host our annual tree lighting event, although we did have to do it virtually. In partnership with the Covington Chamber of Commerce, we developed and launched a program called Ready, Set, Play in 2020. This new program is similar to Play Unplugged that we have participated in years past, but is now our own and customized and tailored to our community. The main goal of the program is to get kids out of the house and active during the summer months, completing challenges sponsored by local businesses that also helps increase foot traffic into those businesses. Well, with the pandemic and many businesses not being able to allow folks inside, we had to make some adjustments. Plus, we couldn't market the program at elementary school assemblies like planned as schools remained closed. We were a little worried about launching and having low participation levels, but despite the circumstances, businesses were happy to alter their challenges to ensure social distancing could happen. We maintained our participant levels from 2019 with about 250 participants and 25 business sponsors. In January 2020, the Covington Aquatic Center saw its highest month of attendance ever. If not for the pandemic, the year could have been its best yet. However, we had to fully close the facility for several months at the start of the pandemic and lay off many staff. As state regulations and restrictions eased little by little over time, we have been able to slowly reopen the Aquatic Center and start offering very limited classes, lessons, and swims by appointment. Like aquatics, athletics and recreation programs all had to cease when the pandemic hit. During the initial shutdown and stay-home orders, our Parks and Recreation Department got creative and filmed 12 stay-home, stay-healthy videos to help folks do activities at home. As restrictions have eased, we've been able to restart some of the programs offered at very limited capacities. For athletics, we were able to start offering modified soccer clinics with 5 or fewer players instead of our normal youth soccer league. As residents are eager to get back to normal, the new clinics we have offered have filled up and sold out very quickly. For recreation, we were able to restart some programs that allow for social distancing and following state regulations. A facility condition assessment for the aging Covington Aquatic Center was conducted in early 2018. In the process, it was learned that the cost to renovate the 43-year-old facility exceeds its value, and the needs of the community are much different from when it opened in 1977. Recognizing the need to replace this regional facility, and with support from local city councils and legislators, the Washington Department of Commerce provided a grant of over $1 million to study the feasibility of a new aquatic and recreation center in the Covington Maple Valley area. The study has established a steering committee of community members and has held multiple outreach methods and virtual events so far. 2020 wasn't just the year of the pandemic, it was also the year of activism to highlight social injustice and racial and equity issues across our country. In Covington, we saw some planned peaceful protests and experienced some impromptu protests that triggered proclamations for curfews and an increased police presence for safety reasons. These issues don't go unnoticed in our city, and our City Council established the first Equity, Cultural, and Social Justice Commission in Covington. Council has appointed 11 community members to this commission so far, and they held their first meeting a few weeks ago. As the commission fills up and moves ahead, we expect the diverse group to define their goals and make recommendations to the City Council. The Parks Department received a state grant of $420,000 to purchase a parcel of property adjacent to the west entrance of Jenkins Creek Park. This property will allow us to expand the park and add a parking lot and larger entrance area, improving access and allowing more community members to enjoy the park and its trails. The city has been working to acquire a 5.28-acre property at the eastern part of the city to develop into a future neighborhood park. The acquisition, which we hope to be closed on soon, is being funded with park impact fee dollars and is eligible for retroactive grant funds from the state. Next steps, once acquired, are to complete a planning and design process, including a public engagement process, informed by existing site conditions, and with the goal to provide the community the park that best meets its needs. Currently, design and construction is not funded, but this work would be incorporated into the city's Parks Capital Improvement Program to be completed in the future. In 2020, our police department coordinated with regional, state, and federal resources to respond to COVID-19 and civil unrest in Covington and the surrounding area. They collaborated with the fire authority to open the COVID testing site for the first responders and set up a COVID operations center at former Covington Elementary site. They continue to improve communication and collaboration with homelessness and crime victim advocacy organizations, continue to develop and support new and existing neighborhood watch programs, contributed to local and national efforts to meet or improve training and policy changes related to police reform, implemented new strategies to deal with changing crime patterns as a result of current societal problems. Our emergency management and preparedness efforts focused a lot on pandemic-related issues in 2020. We worked to implement COVID-19 safety protocols throughout city operations and facilities. We hosted 6 different free mask giveaway events for the community. And aside from pandemic-related operations, we also purchased ham radio equipment and 800 megahertz radios for emergencies and submitted our hazard mitigation plan to FEMA, which was approved. In November, we were excited to participate in the groundbreaking for the Covington Connector, which will expand 204th from 272nd all the way to Highway 18. This milestone will pave the way for the Lake Point development and is a requirement to complete before building construction can begin. The first phase of the project is expected to be complete in 2022. In conjunction and anticipation of the Covington Connector and Lake Point development, we are also coordinating improvements to the SR 18 and Southeast 256th Street interchange. The project was awarded a $2.5 million grant from the Transportation Improvement Board, has completed the design phase, and is currently in the right-of-way phase. We held a ribbon cutting marking the completion of the 164th Avenue Southeast pedestrian project that extended and completed sidewalks along 164th between Covington Library and Kentwood High School. We transitioned to an all-online permitting process and implemented virtual inspections in 2020. This has helped us to keep moving forward and keep up with the demand of development. We issued 187 new building permits in 2020, up from 154 in 2019, of which 118 were for single-family homes. We also issued 247 new business licenses, up slightly from 241. We conducted 5,116 building inspections, up from 4,456 in 2019. And we also processed 101 code enforcement cases, down slightly from 107 in 2019. Well, a lot of what happens in Covington is very visible. there are many very important aspects that aren't so obvious. One of those aspects is the state of the city's financial management. We are proud to say that the city accomplished a clean audit in 2019 with no finding from the state auditor's office. Early on in the pandemic, we took financially mitigating steps to help temper the impact that COVID would have on the city's budget. This included a hiring and spending freeze, placing employees on standby, implementing shared work programs, and more. The city was able to administer and disperse over $943,000 in state CARES and King County funds. Most notably, police costs and staff time over $229,000, small business grant programs over $115,000, Vine Maple Place for rental assistance over $150,000, the Storehouse over $48,000, the Covington Water District for over $16,000, and Sue's Creek Water and Sewer District for just over $5,000. Facebook continues to be our #1 social media channel for number of followers and reach. We saw a 123% increase in the amount of Facebook followers in 2020. We also saw a 48.2% increase in reach and a 79% increase in engagement. This is likely due to the pandemic forcing many to utilize more online resources to get informed. And we also increased our output on all our social media channels in 2020. We saw a 38.5% increase in Twitter followers and 480,000 impressions in 2020. We began using Instagram in February 2020 and currently have 907 followers. The Covington Next Door community has just over 4,500 members in 29 neighborhoods, which Nextdoor estimates is about 50% of all households. In 2020, we made 74 posts to the city's Nextdoor page, which had a total of 65,125 impressions. We did see a decline in website visitors in 2020. With the stay-home orders and closures, there was not as much need for the type of information people go to our website for, like signing up for rep programs, applying for permits, etc. And many folks turned to our social media channels instead. In total, we experienced a 19.7% decline in our website visitors. Our Covington Connects app that allows users to report issues and problems like potholes, abandoned vehicles, damaged street signs, and others saw 898 submissions in 2020. By far, the categories with the most submissions are nuisance vehicles or illegal parking, trash, garbage, or illegal dumping, vegetation and trees, streets, and sidewalks. City staff works hard to respond to these numerous submissions in a timely manner. We typically mail out 17,000 recreation guides to addressees in and around Covington. But due to budget constraints and a large decrease in program offerings due to the pandemic, we moved to an electronic format in 2020. We will continue electronically and reevaluate printing as more programs are able to restart. Despite the challenges we faced in 2020, I am very proud of the efforts that our staff, City Council, and entire community have put forth to keep Covington moving forward. We're seeing a fundamental change in the way we work to accommodate the challenges and opportunities our city faces. We will continue to be nimble and innovative in our approach to best meet the community's needs. So what's on the horizon for 2021? Major construction will begin on the SR 516 expansion from Jenkins Creek to 185th. The city will start collecting revenue from a state-approved homelessness and housing tax. We will continue to advocate for funding to widen SR 516 from 185th to the east city limits with the state legislature and transportation committees. We look forward to restarting more of our athletic, recreation, and aquatic programs as things become safer. We will restart renting picnic shelters and community rooms this spring, and hopefully we can begin meeting in person again soon. As we move forward, I want to thank our incredible staff for their dedicated work and diligence as our priorities shifted and programs changed. As a team, we rose to meet the challenge. I want to thank our City Council for working through 2020 with thoughtful deliberations and heartfelt concern. Lastly, I want to thank you for being part of the Covington team and for the continued support that you give to those around you, our local businesses, and others who are in need.